this message out. Doesn't let me just, record a video. And that's the only way I can get to my YouTube. So, on August the 10th, I submitted a Paldean Fates Bubble Mew, the Paldean Fates Mew EX. I think it's 232. The Bubble Mew to PSA. I had submitted other cards in the past, like I've submitted Lugias, Eevees, the Arceus, and like 2-3 other cards, and they all came back in relatively prompt time. Like it says 45 days, and I think that was about the time that it came back. So I haven't really like tripped about it, but I sent my Bubble Mew before the spike in price, and because I kind of knew like it was gonna raise in value, so I sent it off before I sent off like I sent off like Charizard, Charmander, Charmeleon, Charizard, another Lugia. I forgot I sent off a few other cards. I should probably check that. And I sent them off in October, so I'm not really worried about it. Those should be coming back soon too. I'm kind of concerned that they're going to come back before the fucking Bubble Mew. But, about a month ago, I contacted the company that I submitted my card through and asked him, if I could get a status update on my card. And he said, oh, it's in grading at the moment. I said, okay, it's been 2 months. Should be here relatively soon. I remember picking up my other card and the guy telling me the same thing. It's been 3 months now, and kind of getting a little concerned because it's like, it's not so much as that I'm worried about the card as like, damn, if it's not a 10, I'd rather know relatively sooner than later to, get my card and prepare to know what the grading is going to be, but they won't even reveal that to me. All they told me is that, from my understanding, when I went up there, because I got tired of waiting, and I didn't want to sit here and call them and they give me a runaround. So I went up there personally Monday and spoke with them, and the guy said that he had been waiting for a month and a half on a card from submission, and I was like, oh, well, that's probably my fucking Bubble Mew. And you could see the guy's like, oh shit. So I was kind of like, man, this is a little ridiculous. He's like, yeah, they're holding it because they can't decide on the upcharges for it. And I'm just kind of like, well, that's ridiculous, because I submitted it in a timely manner, and my card is being held ransom by PSA because the price increased by like $300. So, like, whereas I get, what they're saying, I don't necessarily think it's my fault, because I submitted it in a timely manner. I did it in a time that if my card was submitted correctly and came back to me in time, I would have never gotten an upcharge. It would have increased in price probably like 2-3 weeks later. So, upon finding out that my card hasn't came back yet, I'm also finding out that I'm going to be upcharged for it because they are holding my card. And then third, I find out that, basically I can't get my card back because they're... So when I spoke to him on Monday, he said that I had to contact them today on Friday and see what the status is, because that's when they check the status, and at PSA releases the status of the card. When I spoke to them today, he said that that my card, it's not just my card. He said, oh, it's 150 cards. I was like, so you submitted my card with other cards, that's why else it's taking so long. He's like, yeah, it's like, so not only, because I believe that PSA did hold my card also, the bunch of cards, because there's probably a few cards. He even said that there's a few Mews in there that, needed to be graded. And it's like, so y'all end up charging me extra because y'all submitted it with other cards, and because PSA is upcharging because they held those cards. Because I know they submitted, and like they submitted the cards in August, and those 150 cards have literally just been sitting at PSA for 4 months now, almost. Yeah, on the 10th it'll be 4 months. So not really sure like what to do. But I wanted to raise awareness that it's absolutely ridiculous. In my personal opinion, I'd submit the cards personally, because you don't know what the card, one, you don't know if the card shop is actually submitting your card that you submitted. Two, you don't know when it's going to come back, because they told me, month and a half, 2 months. It's been 3 months. It's probably going to be 3.5 months by the time the card gets back. Because when I talked to him, he's like, oh, probably, it will be coming soon. I was like, oh, so what, like a month? He's like, oh, probably a week. And so it's going to be like 3.5 months by the time I get my card back, if it comes back in a week or two. So it's very concerning. I'll release the name of the card shop probably in the next video, because I know there's a pretty big community here in Houston, Texas, of people who submit cards and buy cards and such like that. I have a couple other cards that are coming back to them, so I don't want to, release the name of the company and then they fuck me over, which is very possible, because there's one guy at the shop that's pretty good, and then the other 2-3 guys are pretty shady. But yeah. Overall, from my understanding, PSA is holding my card ransom, and I'm being charged extra for it, and it's a little ridiculous. And my other complaint was that, even if I wanted to cancel it, there's nothing I can do. They submitted it with other cards. They said that it got graded, and basically like it's in the assembly process where they're putting it in a case. Finally. So it's like, fuck. Even if I was to cancel it, like, same thing. So there's no point. And all I know is that I most likely am going to be submitting my cards either personally with PSA, if I ever submit with PSA again, or most likely it's going to be through Beckett. I know their grading's a little tougher, but at least I'll fucking know that what the grade is in a month or month and a half, versus the possibility of never even getting my card back. It's not even confirmed that I have, I'm going to get my card back, because I still don't have it in my hand. They're empty. So CGC is also a very, very likely contender. I have a lot of Japanese cards that I'm probably going to send through there. But yeah, I'm very skeptical of sending. I have like 30, 40 cards that are worth like a couple $100 each, that I want to send, but I don't want to send it to PSA there's a possibility I might not get the card back, possibility the card might take months, and there's also a high possibility that I'm going to get charged a shitload of money because PSA does whatever they want with it. I don't think there's any like laws, regulating what they can do, in terms of like how long they hold stuff, because I don't think they truly have to be honest about the turnover rate. When I went to the Collecticon in Houston at the beginning of November, I remember they were like, oh yeah, just drop your card off. And then I spoke with one rep, and I asked the right questions, and finally it took me like 4 different ways of asking the same question to get a definitive answer. He's like, oh yeah, it'll probably take about 3-4 months to get your card back. It's like, dude, so why the fuck do y'all tell us 45 days? Why would I pay for expedited services, saying 15 days if I might get it back in a month or 2? That doesn't even make sense. Like there's the risk versus rewards for PSA it's just not there for me. I'd rather just start grading stuff with Beckett. And I think they actually care about their customers more too. PSA just, from my understanding, they don't give a fuck and they don't respond. Oh, that was another thing. Almost forgot. Whenever I contacted PSA about a week ago. Whenever I called, no, I think it was like a month ago. Whenever I first contacted them asking where my card was, I kind of asked PSA. I tried to ask them what was going on. It was like in a public comment because I kind of wanted to raise awareness. I was like, hey, I've been waiting 2 months now for this card and kind of wondering what's going on. They deleted my comment. And then so I messaged them personally with, an extensive letter. They never even responded. So it's concerning and it doesn't make you want to submit cards with them again. I definitely would like to bring awareness to as many people as possible. PSA, yeah, you see, how much cost, the value of a card is for PSA, but you don't see the stress and the ordeal of it. You have to, check on your centering. You have to make sure it's good. You have to trust a certified shop. Make sure they don't steal your fucking cards and that they're submitting the right cards. You have to pay $25 per card, and then that's hoping you don't get upcharges. If you have a valuable card over $500, you're gonna have to pay like $25 to $50 per card to get it back. And then that's on top of the fact that you have a month to 4 months period of you might get your card, you might not get it, you might not. So if you have like a certain show, or like in Houston, we have a card show coming up in February. I might not get my Charizard and Charmander and them back by the time the card show gets here. We also have one in January, and I've already kind of written that off because I have other cards coming back, but they're not going to be here in time. So, yeah. My advice to a lot of people is hold off on submitting to PSA. Also, in the sense of also because GameStop has been submitting a shitload of cards to them too, so they're going to be super backed up, and PSA is not going to come out and tell you, hey, it's going to take a lot longer than normal. So, my opinion, I would submit with CGC, or if you really have a super valuable card, BSA, Beckett. I kind of say submit to CGC, and I'm going to be submitting a lot of cards to CGC also, in the sense of I think that the more cards that you submit to them and the more cards that are graded in the market, the easier it will be to get a market value and to basically submit a market for CGC. That's why if you do have CGC cards, one, they're usually less valuable if you buy them. Two, not very many people want them. And three, the grading is just like Beckett. So that's why, in my personal opinion, well, not just like Beckett, but it's about the same. My personal opinion, you might as well grade with CGC. It may not be as valuable right now, but if you have cards that you like to look at and you may want to sell in the future, CGC is definitely a good option. And from my understanding, from the people that I've talked to, CGC doesn't fuck around with your cards. You get it back in 30 days or 45 days, which is, it's much less stressful knowing, my card is going to come back. I don't necessarily always care about the grade. What is a grade going to do for you if you don't have the fucking card? You can't list a card online for sale that you don't have, so. Yeah. All I know is take your time and think about who you're going to submit the card with. I do definitely encourage everybody to grade their cards. One, it's good protection. It increases value. It's nice to look at. There's a lot of displays and stuff and cards. Check out Graded Guard. Also don't forget to check out my buddy Wellbeck's TCG. He has like every single Japanese card you can look for. Well, set. And he also has singles on his website. It's Wellbucks, WABUX, TCG.com. And yeah, I think he has really good prices on the Terrestrial Festival coming out soon too. So y'all want to check that out? I think that's a good idea. I just realized my cat hopped up on my counter and brought me a toy, so it's probably time to play with him. Yeah, have a good day, and I'll see y'all soon whenever I do get the Mew. I probably won't tell y'all the card shop until I get my Charizard and such back. I didn't make videos for my other graded cards. I was just so busy and stressed out with a lot of shit going on, but I'll be back on YouTube soon. I kind of forgot my login password. That's why I haven't been getting on YouTube, but I'll be back soon. I'll figure it out. Thanks to everybody that watches.